Secret source of Iraola advantage. Major £70 million Liverpool sale decision. Jaw-dropping new Diomande bid. MLS chief wants Salah. Inter Milan strike again. Anthony Gordon faces criticism in Spanish media. Man United raid for 2 stars. Luis Diaz sends big message. Klopp stuns fans and goes against controversial World Cup rule. Welcome back to LFC ECHO Daily, your home for the latest Liverpool news, transfer updates, and breaking stories from Anfield. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe, like this video, turn on the notification bell, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's get started. Why Liverpool aren't concerned by Andoni Iraola's lack of silverware on CV. One of the question marks around Liverpool's decision to appoint Andoni Iraola earlier this month was the lack of silverware on the incoming head coach's CV. Aside from a Cypriot Super Cup, a version of the Community Shield, won in 2018 during a spell with AEK Larnaca, Iraola has never guided any of his 4 previous teams down a silver-laden pathway. Jurgen Klopp, of course, was a 2-time Bundesliga winner and also picked up a German Cup during his 7 years at Borussia Dortmund. His successor, Arne Slot, arrived on Merseyside having previously won the Eredivisie with Feyenoord in 2023 before lifting a Dutch Cup the following year. Iraola, however, aside from a 4-1 penalty shootout win over Apoel 8 years ago, has never lifted a trophy in his coaching career. So, for a club of Liverpool's size, does this represent a problem? Success can't be measured with same common denominator all the time. Former Reds defender Glenn Johnson tells the Echo. You know, success at Manchester City and Liverpool and Arsenal, it's trophies. But if you're taking a club who have been in and out of the Premier League and only a mainstay for the last few years, and then you take them to the brink of Champions League qualification, then that has to be considered a success in terms of the club's size. Since the 2016-17 season, 5 different coaches have won the Premier League in Antonio Conte, Chelsea, Pep Guardiola, Manchester City, Klopp and Slot at Liverpool, and current champion Mikel Arteta with Arsenal. Only one of them have won it more than once in Guardiola. Klopp, to his eternal credit, would have had a far more extensive honours list in English football had tallies of 97 and 92 not been bettered by a single point each time by some of the finest sides in Premier League history under Guardiola. And while the back-to-back successes of Slot and Arteta have given a fresh feel to proceedings at the sharp end of the Premier League table, it is the departure of the legendary Guardiola of the Etihad that should really open up the chase going forward. There's a fresh feel to things this coming campaign, with City, Liverpool, Chelsea, and even Manchester United to an extent starting afresh, with new faces in the dugout. Enzo Maresca is believed to be close to succeeding Guardiola, and Xabi Alonso will take charge of Chelsea, aiming to correct what has been a difficult period for the Londoners over the past season. Meanwhile, Michael Carrick will take charge of his first full season at United, and Iraola is tasked with moving things forward at Anfield after a painful campaign fraught with so many problems. Johnson, who made 200 appearances for the Reds between 2009 and 2014, says, "I'm initially upbeat. I think the style of his play and the way he sets the side up, I am sure he'll have changes, but with a better side and better individuals, Liverpool will improve. I am sure he'll have some different ideas too. So if he can get his team playing the way Bournemouth played, consistently, and you now do that with better players, no disrespect to Bournemouth, of course, but if you're doing that with a better group of players, then, for me, that can only be a positive. Terming success as simply the amount of trophies won can be a rudimentary measurement in the modern era, where superclubs, often backed by impossible wealth, mostly hoard the pots at the end of the campaign. Only Crystal Palace and Leicester City have won the FA Cup outside of Chelsea, Liverpool, Manchester City, Manchester United and Arsenal in the last decade. And Newcastle United bucked the same trend in 2025 for the League Cup. From the last 30 trophies on offer across the Premier League, FA Cup and League Cup, only 8 clubs have celebrated victory, with Palace, Leicester and Newcastle being the gatecrashers to a group dominated by City, Arsenal, Liverpool, Man United and Chelsea. It's becoming increasingly clear that the biggest trophies are won by the biggest clubs. So the calibration of success, particularly for clubs with smaller revenues, should be judged differently. And that is the case at Liverpool, who pored over Iraola's achievements at Bournemouth with a fine-tooth comb. The Reds were particularly impressed with his development of young forwards and his aggressive playing style. In the most recent financial results posted earlier this year, Bournemouth's revenue stood at £181.7 million for the accounting period ending June 2025. Liverpool's, in contrast, was recorded at £703 million. The Cherries finished one place behind the Reds in the Premier League last season, and with the smallest stadium in the Premier League at 12,357, Iraola worked a minor miracle last season, particularly given the club's willingness to trade in their best-performing stars like Dean Herzan, Antoine Semenyo and Milos Kerkez, to name just three over the last 12 months. This idea of success has to be judged on the club's possibilities at that time and what is realistic, Johnson says. They have one of the smallest stadiums in the league, so there is a lot of revenue they are missing out on there that is harming their ability to compete. So I think Iraola has done a great job. In another news, Iraola reaches decision on £70 million Liverpool sale as new Yan Diomande offer revealed. Andoni Iraola has decided whether he will let Cody Gakpo leave Anfield this summer, while Liverpool are preparing a stunning new proposal for top target Yan Diomande, according to reports. Gakpo has been in fine form for the Netherlands at the World Cup, having registered 2 goals and an assist during their 5-1 thrashing of Sweden on Saturday. That performance will likely have increased his transfer value amid interest from Tottenham Hotspur. We revealed on Monday that Tottenham have opened talks over signing Gakpo instead of Manchester City's Savinho, and Liverpool's stance has now emerged. Iraola makes Gakpo's sale decision. New Liverpool boss Iraola has a clear plan to keep the Dutch winger and wants to give him the chance to shine next term, Football Insider claim. Liverpool will only sell Gakpo if a big offer arrives, as they are already slightly short in wide areas. Separate reports have placed his transfer value at the £70 million mark, suggesting how much Spurs will need to offer to agree a deal. Liverpool are not actively looking to offload Gakpo, as Iraola is a fan of him. The 27-year-old is aiming for a bigger role at Anfield, despite the arrival of Spanish winger Victor Munoz. Gakpo could help out Alexander Isak at centre-forward, while Hugo Ekitike recovers from Achilles surgery. Liverpool see RB Leipzig sensation Diomande as their successor for Mohamed Salah, and will return with an improved offer, according to German newspaper Bild. Liverpool thought €100 million, £86 million, would be enough to forge an agreement for Diomande, but they saw an opening bid worth that sum rejected by Leipzig. Iraola's side remain undeterred and are drawing up a thrilling new bid worth €100 million plus €20 million in add-ons, totaling €120 million, £103.5 million. A host of reports have valued Diomande at somewhere between 120 to 148 million euros, 103.5 to 128 million pounds. Even Liverpool's second bid might not be enough to get the deal over the line. Leipzig sporting director Marcel Schäfer supposedly has an agreement in place with Red Bull chief Jurgen Klopp not to sell Diomande for any price this summer. Hijack possible. Liverpool have already beaten Newcastle to Munoz and Ekitike over the past year, while also snaring Isak from the Magpies, and there could be a repeat this summer. Newcastle have been described as long-term admirers of AZ midfield prodigy Keith Smith by The Telegraph's Luke Edwards, but they have been warned to watch out for Liverpool. We revealed on Tuesday that the Reds have been offered the chance to hijack Newcastle's move for the 20-year-old. Edwards claims Newcastle are not making active moves for Smith, though we understand they were actually one of the front-runners before Liverpool entered the frame. In another news, Liverpool to submit jaw-dropping new Yan Diomande bid as Klopp agreement revealed. Liverpool will return with a massive new offer for #1 winger target Yan Diomande after having their opening proposal rejected by RB Leipzig, according to a report. Liverpool see Diomande as the perfect young winger to help them move on from Anfield icon Mohamed Salah, who has departed on a free transfer. Diomande is only 19 years old, but is already a frightening dribbler and has world-class potential. Clearly, the teenager will have to develop into a deadly finisher to get anywhere close to Salah's level, though Liverpool view him as one of the best young forwards in the world. That is why Andoni Iraola's side offered a huge €100 million, £86 million, for Diomande recently. Many were under the impression €100 million would be enough to get the deal done, only for Leipzig to stand firm. Leipzig want to keep Diomande for at least one more season, resulting in some astronomical valuations. Reports have put Leipzig's demands at anywhere between €120 to €148 million, £103.5 to £128 million. As per German outlet Bild, via Sport Witness, Liverpool's first offer was worth €80 million plus €20 million in add-ons, and they are poised to launch an improved bid worth €100 million plus €20 million in bonuses. Diomande's agents are pressuring Leipzig to accept Liverpool's increased proposal, as they want their client to secure a blockbuster move to the Premier League. However, Leipzig are expected to reject Liverpool's advances once again. Their sporting director, Marcel Schäfer, has an agreement with Red Bull chief and legendary former Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp not to sell Diomande this summer. But it will be interesting to see whether Liverpool hit a price that Leipzig deems silly to ignore. Liverpool not giving up on Yan Diomande. Selling the Ivorian for a price such as €148 million would help Leipzig to transform their attack with at least two signings. We revealed on Sunday that Liverpool are confident Diomande wants to join them, which is why they are pushing so aggressively for his capture. Recent reports have suggested there is already an agreement in place between Diomande and Liverpool over personal terms. Fabrizio Romano provided an update on the transfer saga earlier on Wednesday. Liverpool have been tipped to pursue a Premier League winger if they are forced to give up on landing Diomande. In another news, MLS chief wants Mohamed Salah to move to America as post-Liverpool options named. Mohamed Salah is enjoying his time in North America during the World Cup, and MLS Commissioner Don Garber has already outlined his desire to see the Egyptians sign for a team in the US. I couldn't say that until he announced that he was leaving Liverpool, but what a great player he would be in MLS, Garber said in March, just after Salah's departure at the end of the season was announced. I think we would provide him with a great platform. The 68-year-old had previously stated, if he ever decides to come to Major League Soccer, we'd welcome him with open arms. I'd say he should reach out to Leo, Messi, and reach out to Thomas Muller and see how happy they've been and how successful they've been and how much they've really embraced being in Major League Soccer. Chicago Fire and San Diego FC have both been linked with Salah, who scored and helped Egypt to its first ever victory at the World Cup earlier this week. The player also has options in Europe, including in Turkey. Aziz Yildirim, who has won the Fenerbahce presidential election, claimed earlier this month that he would be willing to finance a 3-year contract for Salah, worth around $35 million, £26 million a season. That works out at around $660,000, £500,000 a week before tax, which would be a comparable salary to what he might expect to earn in Saudi Arabia. Additionally, it would come with the added bonus of being able to compete in European competitions. Fenerbahce's former board member, Ertan Torunogulari, claimed that a deal was in place with Salah during his tenure, with the 34-year-old very keen on making the switch. He was very keen on coming to Turkey. The meetings we had were extremely positive, Torunogulari told Photosport. We had established common ground with him on many issues, including his salary. I believe that if the new management makes such a request, Salah will wear the Fenerbahce jersey. We would be happy to work with the new management on the negotiations. Liverpool.com says Salah playing at a high level should very much be possible next season. While he didn't have the best season for Liverpool, he is still a very capable player. As Messi has shown, playing in MLS for a couple of years can help extend your career and provide a platform to continuing performing at a high level. Turkey also makes plenty of sense. In another news, Inter Milan risks angering Liverpool further after $57 million transfer hijacked. Inter Milan is at risk of angering Liverpool even further, even after the Italian club had one of its transfers hijacked by Chelsea. The Reds are not happy with Inter's recent approaches for Curtis Jones, with the midfielder the subject of intense interest from the Serie A champions. Liverpool rejected a second bid worth around $29 million, €25 million, earlier this week. That figure falls well under how much the Reds value Jones, at around $47 million, £35 million, with suggestions that Liverpool has been left irritated by Inter, as it feels it is not being serious given the midfield market this summer. According to The Telegraph, Jones is now set to remain at Anfield, with Inter having already indicated that $27 million was its ceiling, although its other transfer activity seems to suggest otherwise. Inter has been in hot pursuit of Atalanta fullback Marco Palestra, although the 21-year-old now looks set to join Chelsea instead after the Blues blew their Italian counterparts out of the water with their offer. According to TalkSport, Chelsea is now set to complete the $68 million, £52 million signing, having offered a contract worth twice as much as Inter's proposal. It's claimed that the San Siro side had been working on a deal worth over $57 million, £43 million, which may not leave Liverpool best pleased considering it's $10 million more than what it is asking for Jones. And there's every chance the Reds would have been aware of what Inter was planning to spend on Palestra, with the report also suggesting that the defender had been offered to both Liverpool and Arsenal before he decided on Chelsea. The Reds may now feel even more vindicated in sticking firmly to their valuation, given Inter seems to have the money to spend on Jones. It has been claimed that senior Anfield figures would rather risk losing the England international for free next summer than allow him to leave now in a cut-price deal. The 25-year-old is entering the final year of his contract at Anfield, with talks over a new deal having stalled as speculation continues over his future. According to The Athletic, there are no active discussions at the moment, although Liverpool would be keen to explore a new deal if it can bridge the gap between the player's expectations and what the club is willing to offer him. It has been suggested elsewhere, though, that any talks over a new deal would happen later in the year, with the Reds having no concerns over the midfielder being distracted. In another news, Anthony Gordon slammed by Spanish media after Liverpool misses out on winger Anthony Gordon, found himself on the receiving end of criticism from Spanish media for the second match in a row following England's uninspiring stalemate with Ghana. After the exhilarating 4-2 victory over Croatia, Thomas Tuchel's players faced a sobering reality check as they were held to a scoreless draw in Boston. Despite dominating possession, England struggled to break down a resolute Ghanaian defence, though qualification for the last 32 remains all but certain. One of the tournament's more fascinating narratives has been the competition for the left-wing position between Gordon and Rashford. Gordon recently sealed a transfer to Barcelona from Newcastle, despite being linked with Liverpool in recent years, while Rashford has seen his aspirations of securing a permanent move to the Nou Camp dashed, leaving his future uncertain. Despite a lacklustre showing against Croatia, Tuchel once more opted for Gordon in the starting 11, with Rashford relegated to the substitutes bench. After failing to make his mark, Gordon was withdrawn for Bukayo Saka on 65 minutes, while Rashford had to bide his time until the 83rd minute before replacing Noni Madueke. The Spanish press was unsparing in its assessment of Gordon, with La Vanguardia branding his display lacklustre. The Barcelona outlet noted, As against Croatia, the winger failed to make a significant impact on the game. Although he was more involved in the play, he was imprecise in some of his dribbling, and his assists, while more purposeful, were wasted by his teammates. AS offered a mixed verdict on Gordon, concluding he was excellent defensively but lackluster in attack. Madrid-based Las Razón highlighted how Ghana shut down the flanks, with fullbacks Marvin Sanea and Gideon Mensah effectively marking Gordon and Noni Madueke. ABC declared that Gordon lacked the necessary finesse to dismantle the Ghana defence, dismissing his second-half effort, which was comfortably saved, as tame. Given Gordon's muted contribution thus far, it would come as a considerable surprise were he to retain his starting berth for England's group decider against Panama on Saturday. Victory for the Three Lions would in all likelihood secure top spot in Group L, potentially paving the way for a more favourable path through the knockout rounds. Tuchel urged supporters to keep the faith following the match, remarking, "It is a long tournament. I think the boys tried everything, and again they played with the right energy. I know it's a very different game, and, in this case, if one team tries to play and to run against this deep block and you don't find the spaces, it is difficult for you to create chances. It can be difficult to watch. It is not as exciting as two teams trying to win it in a more open game. We always try to entertain our fans. It was difficult today. I hope they don't lose belief. It is a long way to go. Credit to our opponent, and I just feel that I was right. We play in a very difficult group." In another news, Man United plans raid for 2 Liverpool players after attempt to tie talent down. Manchester United is eyeing up a raid on Liverpool, with 2 academy stars looking set to join the Reds' biggest rival. Liverpool has already parted ways with 12 players this summer, including Mohamed Salah, Andy Robertson and Ibrahima Konate, while more departures could be on the way as 7 young stars are lined up for loan moves, with Lucas Stevenson and Cade Gordon looking set for permanent exits. The Reds have managed to tie down one of their brightest prospects, with Josh Abe having been handed a scholarship, while he's also expected to sign a first professional contract once he turns 17. Liverpool, though, does look set to lose 2 more young players, with the Manchester Evening News reporting that United is eyeing up striker Vincent Joseph and winger Isaac Condé. Both players featured for the club's U18s last season, but neither has signed scholarship terms, although Isaac was offered, as per Lewis Bauer. Joseph made an instant impact after being promoted to Simon Wiles's side, having scored just 10 minutes into his debut in a 4-3 defeat to Sunderland in March. He ended the campaign with 3 goals in just 2 games for the U18s, having also scored a double against Nottingham Forest. The 16-year-old was not part of the 12 players announced in Liverpool's new scholarship group this summer, though. Joseph is reported to have attracted interest from Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund, while This Is Anfield also suggested Chelsea was in the running for his services. It's United, though, that looks to be snapping the striker up, along with his teammate Condé. The winger made 6 appearances for the U18s in the 2025-26 season, but is claimed to have already been in talks with the Red Devils. Losing both players to United would come as a blow to Liverpool, with the club having been busy strengthening its youth ranks recently. Mortala Njai was signed in January from Senegalese club Amity FC and has already been named in the Reds' senior squad on 3 occasions, having made the bench against Manchester United, Chelsea and Aston Villa towards the end of the 2025-26 season. Meanwhile, Ifeanyi Ndukwe will complete his move from Austria Wien this summer, having been part of the Austria side that reached the final of the U17 World Cup, although he is part of the group of players that are expected to head out on loan. Liverpool is also understood to be lining up the signing of Colombian attacking midfielder Samuel Martinez, who will cost close to $1 million, £750,000, when he turns 18 next April. In another news, Luis Diaz's social media activity sums up his thoughts on Jurgen Klopp. Longtime Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp is working for German outlet Magenta TV as a World Cup pundit this summer, travelling across the United States from venue to venue. Klopp has travelled to New York this week ahead of the German national team's final group stage matchup with Ecuador. In Brooklyn, he found a Luis Diaz Adidas poster. He posed in front and posted it to his Instagram story, commenting, "Look who I found." Diaz, who played under Klopp with the Reds from 2022 to 2024, had a frustrating game for Colombia on Tuesday night in a 1-0 win over DR Congo that saw his nation clinch a spot in the knockout stage. Throughout the 2026 World Cup, Klopp has reconnected with several ex-Reds. Last week, he shared a long moment with Liverpool captain Jordan Henderson ahead of England's clash against Croatia in England. After Argentina's 2-0 win over Austria, Klopp gleefully greeted Alexis McAllister and even collected the diminutive midfielder's jersey. His co-workers attempted to jokingly take it away, but Klopp held on tight. Liverpool purchased a then 24-year-old Diaz from Porto during the winter transfer window for €45 million, $51 million, and the flashy winger immediately slotted into Klopp's team on the left wing. Diaz started 5 of Liverpool's 8 Champions League knockout games in the stretch run, including the UCL final against Real Madrid, a 1-0 loss, marking a further 11 Premier League starts, 13 appearances, along the way. Klopp often spoke effusively of the Colombian. He has the skill set and character. It was one of the best first games I saw from a new player, but we have to see how he adapts. There's no rush, Klopp said after his debut. Following the team's FA Cup victory over Diaz, the German singled out the winger's performance. "What a boy, what a story, what a player, but he should have scored." He agrees, probably, Klopp said. "The speed he has is insane. He gets our football 100%. We thought we saw that at Porto. He fits like a glove to our football, and that's really, really special." Liverpool sold Diaz to Bayern Munich in the 2025 summer window, and he was immediately named in the Bundesliga Team of the Season after a historic season alongside Harry Kane and Michael Olise. In another news, Jurgen Klopp goes against the grain on controversial World Cup rule. Liverpool legend Jurgen Klopp says he would have liked the controversial World Cup water breaks when he was a coach, surprisingly coming out in favour of them in the US. The hydration breaks appear to have been put in to allow television companies to go to commercials midway through each half, with Virgil van Dijk among the players to suggest that they are not always needed. FIFA President Gianni Infantino has claimed that they are simply there for the well-being of the players, but in some circumstances, where the temperatures are lower, they should not be required. When the momentum in a game is altered by the delay, the course of a match can be changed, and most fans are keen for hydration breaks not to interrupt the flow. Klopp, though, believes that they can be beneficial and useful for managers on the touchline to get their messages across during the game and make tactical alterations. "It's really hot and it's good for the players," Klopp said. "Is it good for the coaches? Yeah, I would have loved it. Maybe it's a little bit too much right now. It's definitely too long because for drinking, you don't need 2.5 minutes or whatever. But that's the thing. It's got its use. And when you are in the stadium, it's okay because you get a little bit of a show. In Dallas with the cheerleaders, which I enjoyed on the big screen. It's completely fine, but I understand when you sit at home and then the commercials start, that being my age, it is a welcome break to go to the toilet." Klopp also spoke about England head coach Thomas Tuchel after his side drew 0-0 with Ghana in a dire game. Thomas Tuchel is an outstanding coach, but sometimes outstanding coaches have to draw, Klopp said. "Crazy, yeah? It's crazy," he added. "Sometimes you don't score, sometimes you are unlucky, and all these kinds of things. It cannot change my mind about Tuchel. He is exceptional." The first game was super. It was really good, tight, maybe tighter than everybody wanted, but they won it. I couldn't watch England versus Ghana, but seeing the result, I know how the British media are, so stay calm. Klopp also played down suggestions that he could return to coaching in a casual chat with reporters. A few days ago, he met Lionel Messi and was given Alexis McAllister's jersey after working as a pundit for Argentina's win over Austria. That's all for today's Liverpool update. Which story surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss another Liverpool update from LFC ECHO Daily. Thanks for watching, and as always, you'll never walk alone.